In the top right corner from Team NV. Oh, when are they going to do it? There we go. It's Creator. You always have to play a guessing game with the WTL. Who's in the bottom left from Alpha X. It's Classic. Alright. So, NV and Alpha X. What a matchup we have here for the World Team League in our Week 2 matches. It's a best of 2, of course, as you can see there on the overlay. Both these teams got a win in their Week 1 match. It was a really massive win for Alpha X, actually. They got the win over Team Liquid. I believe it was ended up being a 5-1 or a 4-2. Still managed to drag out that win. And it was some really, really awesome games that we managed to end up seeing. Team NV, of course, grabbing themselves a win as well. Not as convincing as you might have expected. I believe they were up against DPG, if I'm not wrong. No, they weren't up against DPG. But had a bit of a tougher run of the road than you might expect. Also only got a +2 to their game differential, so a 4-2 victory for them. And yeah, Creator versus Classic, a PvP. One of, I think, personally, one of the mirror matchups that I enjoyed the most, because with PvP, there's a lot that goes on that you can't really guess. You can't call it. There's a bunch of different strategies. There's a bunch of different build orders that are very viable in this matchup that just make it extremely interesting to watch, because you can guess all you want, but you never know how a game is going to go until you see it, because there's a variety of cheeses that can happen. There's a bunch of different unit compositions that you can even see. I mean, in PvP, you've seen everything from Charge Lot, Colossus, Disruptors. Blinkstalker Disruptor, of course, was really big for a while. You've seen players like Haas go with like Charge Lot, Colossus, and Immortals, along with Archons. And then, of course, you have your classic Charge Lot, Archon, Immortal, which is kind of your staple. As we do have both players starting out with a Stargate here in this game. Interestingly enough, Classic just gonna nestle his away, trying to just make sure that his opponent is unable to really scout out what he's going, because Creator did have a probe that was in the main base and scouting around. And so Creator not really going to be able to get a bead on what there is here for Classic, although there is going to be an Adept and a Zealot out. Classic has walked his all the way across the map. Doesn't look like it's going to be punished too hard. You have an Oracle already on the way for Creator. And we'll see how this pans out. The proxy Stargate, well, not even really a proxy, but the hidden Stargate for Classic is just a bit strange sometimes, because of course, you do have the fact that it's not in the wall. Classic has yet to complete that front wall, and so we actually do have an Adept that has already gone into the main. Observer, let's see it. The Adept already got itself 2 kills, gonna look for a third, gets it on the fadeaway shot, gets a 4th, or sorry, only 3 going down, but has 4 kills. Oh, and probably, I see. He probably did kill off a Zealot or another Adept, but oh my god, this Adept is getting so much damage done. 6 workers is a pretty brutal amount to lose here for Classic, and now there's an Oracle on the way for Creator, who just seems to have had the better end to this start, going for that early Adept, which usually doesn't get this much damage done. But again, there's no wall here for Classic. He didn't have an Adept of his own. The Oracle comes on in. It's getting 12 kills. This is absolutely brutal. Creator loses it, but also Creator behind this is at 26 workers, taking a natural base. Already has his shield battery in his main. Yeah, I don't think Classic can win this game. To be completely honest, this is a game where you look at it, and Creator has just completely nailed this opening, is going into Phoenix, has additional gateways on the way. It's just ahead in every single facet. And Classic still doesn't have a shield battery, does have Stalkers in position to help defend this second Oracle. But Classic's going to need so much damage with these 2 Oracles, and I just don't know if he's going to get it. Here we go. Focus fire. Nope, there's already 3 Stalkers in the mineral line. One of his Oracles goes down. The shield battery will protect the rest of the probes, and the Phoenix can just chase down this second Oracle that's still alive. This is just absolutely brutal here. And Classic, I like the idea with the hidden Stargate, but unfortunately, just build matchup wise, Creator wasn't really relying on scouting all too much. Creator was just going for a Stargate himself. It was macroing up, said, okay, well, this is what I'm doing. It doesn't really matter if you're doing anything. And so that's where you start to get into a bit of trouble if you are Classic, when you are going for a build. It's just such as this one. And now he has caught up fairly decently, is only sitting about 8 workers behind. It's, you know, it's still not the best because, you know, Classic has just now been able to start to get workers onto his natural base. And did produce the Phoenix there in order to defend against the Oracle. But Creator is getting into Blink already. I believe doesn't have a Robo facility started. Is still sticking with just straight up gateways, adding on a 3rd. I'm going to be continuing the Blink Stalker production as Classic is trying to get into more so his tech options. And we'll see, this might be Creator actually gearing up for at least some sort of an attack fairly soon. Just because his work production has started to slack off at points as he's focusing on getting out these production facilities. Creator does start up his own robo facility though. So it's not going to be just only gateways for our Team NV Protoss. And as we kind of hit a lull stay in the game, Creator, he's a player that you could talk a long time about. As he puts down the 3rd base, you know, just in his ups and downs where he's almost managed to make a big break and that has looked really, really good, and then how just it's never really come to fruition for him. And, you know, he's always been, you know, he was on generic Green Wings where you had pretty much all of the champions of StarCraft League pasts on that team. Still was the one kind of odd man out, and is still on Team NV, which is, you know, a decently strong team. Of course, you have Maru, DRG. Ooh, the Oracle goes down there for Classic. Blink Stalker is able to pick that off. It's 6 more gateways on the way for Classic. Does he have time to get it up, though? Also, Resonating Glaives on the way. I mean, I'm not sure what the idea here for Classic is. I mean, he has to know how far behind he is because he took so much damage from those Oracles, but is going to be trying to transition this into an almost, I think it's almost 6 to 8 gateway Glaive to depths, just trying to run through Creator. I don't know if this is going to work because he first has to hold on versus these Blink Stalkers. Trades a Stalker for a Sentry. Here we go, Immortals walking down. The Immortals do mean that Classic is not going to die here to these Blink Stalkers. It will give him time to, you know, get out the Adepts, as Creator does manage to scout out the fact that those Adepts have been put on into that Warp Prism. The juggling here, Blink backs are good by Creator, but the power of 2 Immortals cannot be underestimated. But even, you know, even with Classic not dying here, you also have to resign the fact that Creator right now is still up about 11 workers. Creator is onto a 3rd base. He's adding on additional gateways, getting into charge, and Classic has not been able to really move out with this Adept push that he wants to hit. It really makes you worry here for Classic, even though, I mean, sure, Creator has no idea what is coming towards him, but it could be dangerous as, oh, that Warp Prism almost goes down. One more volley could have done it, but good pullback from Classic. So here we go. Can't let the Immortals get caught out. They are what is really stopping from Creator from diving onto this army. As I was gonna say we should see the Adept Warpins, but no, Classic hitting a pretty massive supply block here. Already has a lot of Adepts with this, so we'll see how much damage he's able to do. Classic gonna try and go for it. A few units there trapped in the Stasis Ward. A good force field to get some of those Stalkers out of position. Classic trying to push the issue with this. Adepts versus Immortals. It's, well, the Adepts do actually fare fairly well. And he's going to have to push this. It is Charge Lots. Charge Lots, though, melting against the Resonating Glaives here of the Adepts. Here we go. The rest of the army has joined up for Classic. More Warpins coming through. Actually, Classic making this seem a lot closer than it probably should be. Still has so many Adepts, but the Stalkers are blinking in. The Immortals are still alive, but now you're starting to get Charge Lots on top of the main body of Adepts. I mean, both of their supplies are dipping, but there's still so many Adepts here. For Classic, he's going to shade on into the main. Going to cancel it away. Knows he has the armor segment. Oh, that Stasis Ward. Creator sets that down. It's such a beautiful play. Now he's trying to blink on top of the Immortals. Are there any more Adepts here for Classic? I don't think so. Creator just barely going to be able to hold this attack with the Stasis Sword, with the reinforcements. Classic did make a good case, almost, but GG. Creator going to take game number 1. And on to map number 2. It is Romanticide. Classic's pick, as in the top left, from Team Alpha X. It is Classic. And in the bottom right, from Team NV, Creator. And a good job to win that game 1 by Creator again. Just kind of off the back of the early damage. Just got so much work done and was able to propel that to a victory. Classic tried to make it close towards the end, but ultimately, there were just enough Blink Stalkers for Creator. He had never really committed to a large amount of charge lots, which that attack would have done well against. And so the Blink Stalkers are able to hold, the Blink backs are well done, and Creator's macro comes through. And I started to talk about it in the last game with how Creator has kind of been always the... I don't want to say the worst player, because Creator is a very good player and has had some really great results before. But he's kind of always been, even on his own team, the underdog, where hasn't really had the results here, hasn't really had that breakthrough performance. You know, in the past, I would have likened him to a player like Bunny. Bunny and Dream, I think, really. But mostly Bunny, with how they played for such a long period of time and had ups and downs, were never really able to find a decent run into any tournament and really find their form. And of course, that's no longer true, because Bunny has found his form, and Bunny is, haven't seen him in any of the real major tournaments, but is consistently at least making it to round of 16s, round of 8s in a lot of these tournaments, even if the consistency isn't quite there while playing at the highest level for him, which is understandable, because for Bunny, he hasn't been playing at such a high level for very long, and he's still, starting to take, series off dark. He's starting to show some really good games against high-level opponents, and it's great to see. But Creator is kind of not the same story, unfortunately. Creator has kind of just been struggling for a while to really get a solid result, which, it does a lot for players when you're playing for such a long time and you just don't really find that success that you were probably hoping to. I can't even imagine how much it just takes out of you to have to try and just keep going, keep playing. And Creator's done it for a while. And all the props to him. As much as people talk about how tilted he gets and how frustrated he gets at games, it can be frustrating when you're good. You're one of the best players, probably, top 0.001% of the players, and you can get to these tournaments, you can get to the qualifiers, you can get, to those outer stages, but you just never make it in the final parts. And that's where I think, a tournament like WTL is nice, because Creator does get to, show off some really good games. He gets to play in a format that's not like a tournament, where it's very short series. And I think it suited him better, because he's put up some great results when playing in the WTL. Now, you do see that proxy pylon being highlighted that is going down across the map with the Warp Prism already on the way. It's 3 gates out from Creator. There is no expansion, so it is going to be quite a little bit of pressure here from him. Already shield battery at the front for Classic, though, which does make me worry this probably won't work out too well. And there's the proxy pylon warping. Ooh, Classic, he might be stepping too far forward. Manages to get that Stalker on the fadeaway, but now has to deal with 5v4. Still manages to win out on the micro front. Gets one of his Stalkers healed up. Another warping going to be coming through here for Creator, but Classic has a Void Ray on the way. Just finished one, has a second in production. This is starting to... it's already looking like a fairly decent hold here from Classic, who already has his natural base up. And Creator, this is a build where you just try and get a little bit of light pressure. You're never really expecting it to kill your opponent, but you can definitely get some serious damage done with it. And just has not been able to find that. As here we go, the ferry up into the main base is going to be putting down additional warp-ins. has a good amount of units. I don't know how it is in comparison to his opponent, as the first 2 volleys going to come down very well. Oh, these juggles are so good from Creator. I wish we could see the rest of the fight, but he gets both of the Void Rays. He's now going to start to focus down the Stalkers. He does not have enough to continue this going because the Warp Prism was taken out. And losing the Stalkers is a bit annoying. Wasn't able to kill off any probes. And you just see that army supply dip all the way down. Still on even workers with his opponent, but a pretty catastrophic loss there. Started off really well with the 2 Void Ray snipes, but the Stalkers come in for Classic. And no Warp Prism means no Micro. The probes are pulled. Everything just kind of works out there for the Alpha X Protoss. We'll see if these 2 Adepts can get anything done. Sorry about the quality. We are watching this on YouTube, so occasionally the quality does dip down, and you gotta deal with it. The unfortunate part of the restream that they do for these events. We'll try and get that back up, but that being said, the 2 Adepts not able to get anything done, really. Classic just playing very, very defensive, just holding on, knowing that he is pretty decently far in the lead right now, and there's no real reason for him to try and push the issue. Sorry, I will just load this back up to quality because we can. And a Dark Shrine Creator. Well, if the 3-gate fails, just pop out a Dark Shrine when behind. You know, that's saying, right? When not in the lead, place down your Shadowy Boy temple. That's how it goes. I mean, we'll see if the Dark Templar can get any damage done. It feels unlikely. You already have a robotics facility finishing up here for Classic. I mean, Classic's already sitting 20 supply ahead. You know, 9 workers or so, 8 to 9 workers ahead at any given moment. Has the army supply lead, is working on +1 already. It's a whole long list of things that Classic has going for him right now. And Creator's investing a lot into these Dark Templars when he's already behind. And that's the thing about DTs. The reason why they say one behind Dark Shrine, it's a big investment. You're not going to really be able to recover if those Dark Templar don't get damage done. But they can find some massive damage for you. As this is a nice little depth shade. Ooh, can't quite get the second or the 4th probe. The second shot. And yeah, this is a big investment. 2 Dark Templars on the way. Is there any Observer already out for Classic is the question. You do have the Immortal in production. I think he went immediately into Immortals. I don't have unfortunately, the units tab, so I cannot see. But we do have a Warp Prism poised. Another Dark Templar that's going to head their way in. Here we go. Creator. How much damage can you get done? Stalker's being pulled back, and is there an Observer already out? Should be one coming with armor. There we go. Find some kills. 5 workers already going down. A 6th. Should be a 7th, and it's, ooh, cancels the auto attack by accident, but some decent damage there from Creator. 6 workers. Evens out the worker count, is even now ahead. Still has a while to go until I think he's really properly caught up in this game, as that was, I believe, some Adept Shades. I'm not quite sure. Unfortunately, sometimes it happens. Usually the WTL observers are absolutely wonderful. And so sometimes you do get these games where you just can't quite see everything, which of course we forgive them for because they are doing this all this for free for us. Charge on the way for Classic. Has started a single Phoenix, which will probably be used to just patrol around to make sure that Warp Prism can't find any way into the base. Then even moving out with his own Immortal 2 Stalkers, +2 on the way, not quite done. Templar Archives is going to be built for the Archons, but just a very slow game. And it's surprising because Classic did have a pretty massive lead off defending that 3-gate. I'm surprised that he didn't push across the map and try and get any damage done. But he's just sat back, he's defending, he's saying, all right, listen, I just think I'm ahead macro-wise, and I'm just going to try and use that to my advantage. And to an extent, it's correct. Tech-wise, Classic is extremely far ahead. As you see, that he's going to have just a +1 weapons upgrade difference for a while. He's going to have charge lots, which really do bolster the strength of his army. But Creator has, for the most part, caught up, and he's getting into disruptors, which will negate, that upgrade difference. Disruptors do not care if you have +1 or +2. They just shoot purification novas and they blow you up. So I like this choice from Creator. Has double robo facility, 2 disruptors at a time. I think this is a great choice when he is just sitting, perhaps at a slight disadvantage if he tried to go into a straight up gateway based army like you're seeing Classic do. But Classic is already actually getting into a second Stargate and continued Phoenix production. Very, very interesting. And Creator still poking around with the Dark Templars, unable to find any damage. But we'll see what the Stargate is for, because Classic is in a comfortable enough spot that I could absolutely see him trying to get up, you know, maybe a fleet beacon even. Out of this, at least as a transition. For now, it is going to be Phoenix, because you want to have the ability to lift up the disruptors from your opponent and cancel the purification novas. So it's a pretty standard response here from Classic, but it does also open up a lot of avenues for him to transition if this game does go much, much later. And Classic not even letting up the upgrades. +3 on the way. Creator's only started his +2. And I really like this from Classic now. Finally starting to get back into the swing of things. Well, the Warp Prism finally goes in, and we have some action after about 4 minutes of sitting around and just talking. He's going to be able to get a few probe kills as here comes the Stalkers blinking on in. Warp Prism gets on out. And Charge Loss just being annoying. Disruptor shot. Ooh, that's a nice one. Classic had his units on a shift click, but here comes Classic into the 4th base. Disruption Nova's getting picked up. Phoenix just doing a great job canceling all of these as soon as they come. Only one, I think, has gone off so far. The rest just canceled away. Creator has to pull a recall. The 4th base is going to be forfeit. And this is why you get Phoenix against Disruptors. Just so efficient. And I mean, a complete counter. As Creator's base is going to die, he drops to 40 supply down. And Classic takes a wonderful fight. Continued Archon production here for both players. And I mean, Phoenix, there's more Phoenix. Classic is continuing to build more Phoenix. He's pumping 2 at a time. He's saying, you know what? I think these units are good. I'm going to build more. And I absolutely agree, Classic. I agree. I love Phoenix. They're named after me, so therefore they are the best unit. Continue to build them, please, in all your games. I would absolutely love that. 13. It is a bit overkill, as the Observer is pointing out. 13 Phoenix to 2 Disruptors. I mean, Classic almost has enough Phoenix that he can pick up every single Stalker in Creator's army. At least in that small army that is currently pushing around. So many Phoenix. So many. Fleet Beacon on the way for Classic. He will start to transition this into the air army, which is what we were kind of looking at him to do from this position, already sitting, you know, solidly a 30 supply lead, a base up. Got to try and add on a second to that with the +1 air weapons and +3 finishing up. Going into even 4 Stargate. Classic, I mean, pretty much what this is Classic saying, all right, I am going to try and fight sometime soon here. I'm going to try and sack supply while still trading out, and I'm going to solely focus on producing carriers, which is, yeah, I mean, that's going to work. I mean, there are Archons out, of course, for Creator, but he's not really ready for carriers. He has no real form of anti-air outside of the Blink Stalkers and the Archons, which can deal with carriers in, you know, alone. If it's Blink Stalkers and Archons versus carriers, that ground army can win. But it's not just that. It's also a very large ground army here for Classic. And Creator, who's trying to just poke around and, you know, get damage done, it's not really working. Or at least defend. There's not even really damage coming out here from Creator. As we might finally start to see a fight. Classic. Stepping in, stepping out, doing a little dance with his charge lots. Has a Warpin on the backside that's going to try and deal some damage. Shouldn't get too much done. There's already a Warpin ready. As Classic, oh my, Classic is just committing to the base. He says, you know what? I have carriers on the way. I don't care if I lose this army. I'm just going to try and get crucial damage done. Manages to do so, is going to run out with the rest of his army, runs some Zealots to try and distract the army of Creator. I mean, that's one hell of a ballsy move, Classic. That is such a ballsy move. I love it. Snipes down the base. Creator's gonna have to rebuild the Nexus now. And you see that money just dipping so fast for Creator, who's now gonna commit across the map. I mean, he'll be able to get the 4th base at the very least. But I really don't know if there's much else that Creator can get. There's already Creators out, or Creators. There's already Carriers out, 3 more on the way. We're getting picture in picture. So much economic damage is being done by these Zealots that have been warped in. Creator, he has to end the game here. Can he do so? I don't know if he can. It's 4 Carriers already out. Charge Lops going in. The lifts onto the Disruptors. They're not going to get any damage done. And Classic just looking to bowl through this entire army. He has additional Warpins. He has the upgrades. And sure, the Interceptor count is going down, but that doesn't really matter because Classic has the money. He's taking almost 100 supply lead, as this is all that Creator has. It's +2 Archons. Unfortunately, more Warpins coming through. The Carriers, well, 2 go down. Never mind, the second doesn't even go down. Shield Battery overcharge just to add insult to injury. GG, Classic. Gonna be able to tie up the series.